Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Dolly Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Zenaida.
And in studio with us we have Mikaella. And Mikaella, if somebody needed to contact us, what would they need to do?
For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357, and anywhere else is 1-866-636-6284. The email is dudamath@kern.org. We're online at dudamath.net, and social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, nicely done. Thanks for taking care of that for me. I know it's a mouthful. I don't like to have to say it all the time. So thank you for doing that. Mikaella, where do you attend school and what grade are you in?
I attend school at Ronald Reagan, and I'm in 4th grade.
All right, so 4th grade, you now have to go to school a little bit longer every day now, don't you? Do you like that? You do. What is the best thing, do you think, about being in 4th grade? Because you no longer like hanging out with the kids in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Now you're with the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. What's one of the best things you like so far about 4th grade?
So far, my teacher has taught me how to rip out perfect pages, because when you go move into another grade, people might not know how to do it.
Okay, good. So that's something that you like and that you learned so far this year, because it's still pretty early in the year, right? How has math been going for you so far this year?
Good.
Good. What kinds of things have you learned? Do you remember anything you learned or what you're working on now?
Well, I was learning multiplication and division.
Okay. And do you like one more than the other, or are they both the same?
They're both the same.
They're both the same. I think I like multiplying more than dividing for some reason. I don't know. It's just easier to multiply in your head, I think, than dividing, but everybody's a little bit different. Have you ever seen something like that before?
No.
Nor have I. I think I've seen it on news features and things like that, and you hear about these things all around the world, but we have it here on Do the Math today, and we're going to learn a little bit more about that. What do you think? That pretty cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a cello, that instrument, a cello, up close, or have heard one?
I've seen it up close.
You've seen it up close? You play the cello?
No, I'm just in a music class, and some people have the cello.
Well, there you go. Awesome. I was going to be like, awesome, that'd be awesome. But she goes, I play the cello, as a matter of fact, that would have been sweet. But anyway, we have somebody from the Bakersfield Symphony Orchestra here with us today, and Alex will be doing a little bit of work with us and with you with the cello. But before we get to all of that, let's first take a look at today's Math in the News. All right, today's Math in the News. We are fortunate enough once again to have somebody in studio with us, and from Bakersfield College, we have Carlos. And how are you today?
I'm doing well. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Now, you were here last year.
Yes.
And we were talking about the computer programming classes at Bakersfield College.
Yes.
And you had the dog from Boston Dynamics in here.
Yes, our little buddy Spot.
Okay, so that's the dog's name officially?
It's officially his name, Spot, yes.
His name is Spot, okay, easy enough. Now, you have, before we even get started with our other guests in here, Manufacturing Day coming up.
Yes, next Friday, September 30th, it is open to the community. We are asking everyone to RSVP so we can get a head count for lunch and food and
Okay.
for logistics information.
So Manufacturing Day at Bakersfield College is next Friday on the 30th.
Correct.
And you need people to RSVP, and there's the flyer for it right there. So if they just go to the Bakersfield College website, they'll be able to get to this.
Correct. Just go to the Bakersfield College website. On the search bar, type in Manufacturing Day, and it'll take them straight to the page for registration.
Okay. So, and this is open to the public, so obviously students of any age, adults, things like that. What are the times? Is it during school, after school, or both?
It is during school, so it's going to be from 9:30 to 1:30. We already have over 1,500 students registered for the event as well.
So the students that are registering for the event, are they primarily in certain grade levels?
Yeah, so we have anywhere between middle school to college students that are going to be participating in this event.
Okay. Well, I see you have a student with you today, Isabelle. And Isabelle, you're a student at Bakersfield College, I take it, right?
Correct.
All right. So you're your first year, second year?
Currently in my freshman year.
Okay. And you're responsible for Pepper, correct?
Yeah.
So explain to us a little bit about Pepper and what you have learned and what you're going to showcase with us today.
Pepper is a humanoid robot, and she's currently working as retail and
Hospitality.
hospitality. Yeah. So I have been working with Pepper for about 2 years now, on and off, and yeah, I just learned how to manage different programming languages, both complex and simple, and she's just been one of them. And it's probably my favorite robot so far that I've worked with.
Okay, so complex and simple. So what would be some of the simple things that you've done so far?
Well, I can basically do the communicating default settings. So if I say hi to Pepper, she'll listen to me and she'll respond back.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Get over there. Let's see some of this.
Hi, Pepper. Hi, Pepper.
Hi, human.
So hi, human, right? So is she able to learn your name once you tell her and she can respond like that? And how can you, is that the simple communication right there?
So simple communication is just her responding, hi, human. However, if I wanted her to ask for my name and learn it, that would be a whole different set of programming. But I can set that up for us if you'd like.
By all means, let's go.
Give her a moment.
Oh, I can see you now. Hello, what is your name?
Isabelle.
Oh, okay. I'm Pepper. It's nice meeting you. Would you like to know more about me?
Yes.
Okay then. Let's start with these things I have and you don't. I'm a humanoid robot. My purpose is to interact with humans. To do that, I have cameras and microphones in my head. I have 3 wheels, but I can't jump. Most importantly, I have 17 degrees of freedom. It means that I can move like no other robots and use familiar gestures so that we can understand each other and get along. Now, touch the top of my head and I will give you my robot resume. Great! I started my career in 2014 in Japan. One of my first experiences was to guide customers in Nescafe stores and help them choose coffee machines. I am also working at Nissan in Japan. I attract more people to their showrooms. And recently, I've been helping customers in Carrefour stores in Europe. I offer recommendations for wine, books, and recipes. Now I am ready to bring my experience to the US. I am just completing my training in various industries like retail, hospitality, travel, and health care. Now that you've heard my resume, I'll tell you about my specialty. Put your hand on top of mine so we can keep talking. As you may know, I can detect people's mood. For example, I can tell if a customer is happy or sad. This helps businesses understand how customers feel about certain products. Based on that, they can improve their in-store experience. And right now, I can see if you're smiling or not. I don't see a smile. Come on. We're having a good time here.
It just sees a big camera, right?
See, there's a smile.
There she goes.
Now, I'll tell you about my networks. So, say networks, and we'll go on.
So before you go on with networks and having Pepper continue with this, so you've been working with this robot.
Great. Everybody talks about the cloud. You can say the name of the top. I've done my best to please. I've done my best to please you. Make sure you write a good article on Pepper.
We'll definitely do a nice article on Pepper right there. But it's amazing the movements. I mean, from this vantage point, it just looks like somebody dressed up with natural movements.
Right.
So how long did that take to kind of get all that stuff going?
So she was a big project for her manufacturer. She was I want to say it took about 20 years to kind of configure her and get her as she is right now.
And if somebody says, hey, you know what, Isabel's working with Pepper, and I like this, and I kind of want to do something like that, what are some of the classes that you're taking that afford you to do this?
Well, my first class that I took that gave me experience with the Pepper robot was my C-Tech class, Career Technical Educational
Oh,
Center.
good. And where were you at high school for that?
I was a senior in high school for that class, and I actually took the robotics engineering class with Mr. Steven Mears, who's still working there. And that was my first hands-on experience with the Pepper, and here I am in college still playing around with her.
And do students have to know any kind of math at all in order to do this?
They do need to know math, but not very high math. I think the highest math is about pre-calculus.
Right. So, and that's what most students are getting
Right.
while they're in high school.
Correct.
Right, because you don't have to have calculus to graduate from high school.
Correct.
And a lot of students are familiar with that and feel comfortable with that, and they could go right into this field,
Exactly.
going from high school right into BC, hands-on like Isabel's doing. Is there a certain number of students that you can have in this program at one point? Like, is there a cap?
Not yet. So our program is still very new. It is a bachelor's degree program that we offer at Bakersfield College at a community college level. It is growing, but as of right now, there's no cap. We're willing to accept any student that applies for the program.
All right. Well, before we let Isabel and Pepper go, is there anything else that you would like to mention about Pepper or your experience with the program at BC?
Well, first of all, the program is excellent. It's probably one of the best things that's happened to me in my educational career so far, but I would just like to encourage more women in the industry. I would like to be an image for all those young girls looking for a new career, so that they know that there's more careers other than nursing and all these other wonderful careers, but that there's also a space for them in the technological industry itself.
And it's one of the fastest growing and largest because it's growing fast because the technology that is coming out is evolving so fast and rapidly, but the number of people you need also is growing just as rapidly as well.
Exactly. And that's what Manufacturing Day is all about. We want to invite the community so they can come learn about the manufacturing industry and how technology is evolving, and we need more individuals for the workforce.
All right. Well, I know that you guys have a big day coming up. I know that we've been out to Bakersfield College a couple of times, and I know we'll be out there again. And just a whole lot of stuff going on. Once again, Manufacturing Day is coming up next Friday, September 30th. It's from 9:30 to 1:30, open to all students, the public as well.
Correct.
I mean, any adults and stuff like that. Anybody can go out, check it out, and if you do happen to remember, look for Isabel, look for Pepper. I'm sure they'll both be out and about, and Carlos will be able to guide you all over there. Well, Carlos, thank you once again for taking some time to come in. Isabel, lovely meeting you, and pass the same along to Pepper when you wake her up again later on.
We'll let her know.
Okay.
Thank you.
That is today's Math in the News. 636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. And any students that phone in today is September 20th, tomorrow the 21st, next week the 27th and 28th, any student that phones in and we do one of your math problems, you're automatically receiving a ticket to the Kern County Fair, and that fair opens tomorrow afternoon. There we go. There's the graphic, and yeah, all sorts of things going. Hey, look at look. Ooh, getting ready for baking time over there, huh? Is that what's going on? All right. Anyway, lots of animals out there. I know we have some people going out to check out the animals and all of the students and all of the hard work they put in at the fair, showcasing those animals and then moving on from there. Anyway, In studio, we have Mikaella, a 4th grade student from Reagan Elementary, and Mikaella's working on multiplication. So we are going to have Mikaella and Zenaida work on a multiplication problem right now. All right, ladies, are you ready? All right, head on over to the board, and we're going to go ahead and have you guys start up on one of these. So here's the first problem that I'd like you guys to work on. And this is a little something out of Mikaella's workbook, and you guys can either work on it the way you do in the workbook, or Mikaella, you can come up with a totally different way. All right? So the problem is 143 times 5. All right? So one of you girls can get the marker. 143 times 5. And as you're doing that, Mikaella, just explain to Zenaida what you're doing, and then we'll go from there. All right?
So I'm doing 143 times 5, but in my class, sometimes I just do it like it's 100 plus 40 plus 5. And then that would be the new name for 143.
Okay, I'll stop you right there. So it looks to me like you rewrote 143 in expanded form. Is that what you did? So I see the 100, I see the 40, and where does the 5 come from?
There you go. That's why it's always important to have an eraser during math.
And I see you erasing. What are you going to put there instead?
I'm gonna put the 3
Okay.
because 143 ends with a 3.
Okay. And then, so you like to rewrite the number 143 into 100, and then the 40, and then the 3. So it looks to me like the hundreds, the tens, and the ones. You like to think of it like that. And then, what do you like to do next when you're multiplying these quantities?
So then, like,
Let me see if I can scroll this down a little bit for you. There we go.
so then, like, sometimes we would use another strategy for here's a hundreds place, a tens place,
Okay.
and for the ones place.
Okay.
I'll put the 5 there because this time is 5. So I would do like 5 times 100, and since could be an easy question, it's like 1 times 5,
Uh-huh.
and just add the 2 zeros. So I'll put 500.
Okay. So you multiply the 100 times the 5, and you knew that you can multiply the 5 times the 1 and add the 2 zeros because it was growing. It was growing in that magnitude. And then what do you do next?
So I can also multiply the 5 times 40,
Okay.
but I could be doing skip count.
Okay.
So I could do 5 times 4 is 20, and I can probably add the other 0.
I like how you mentioned skip counting. So sometimes we can use those tools from 3rd grade to help us with multiplication even in 4th and beyond. And then your next step?
So I could just multiply 5 times 3.
Uh-huh.
That's 15. I've been practicing a lot.
Okay. And you know that one by memory? Awesome. And what would you do next?
So I would do 500 plus 200
Mm-hmm.
plus 15.
And why are you going to add 500 plus 215?
Because so I got multiplied by 5 because I separated them. Now I would have to add it together.
Okay. So it's almost like you found the area of this piece, and that piece, and now you're going to find the area of the entire rectangle. Okay. Now I'm going to scroll this down for you. You're doing a great job, Mikaella.
So then, so it would be easy, because it's just 5 plus zeros.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put a 1 and a 7.
Okay. So are you done here? Is this your answer? What's your answer?
715.
Okay, so you're telling me that 143 times 5 is, I'm having 715? Is that what you think? Do you have another way to check this?
Not really.
Not really. Do you know the name of this strategy?
No, I've just been learning. I don't know the name yet.
Yeah. So it looks to me like it's really working for you. I wonder if you can think of a story that could go with this. Like, can you think of 143 times 5? Could there be a math story that explains this, that could happen?
Well, maybe there could be like 143 kids in a school.
Okay.
But then, like at another school, there's 5 times more than that.
Oh, that is a great problem.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's excellent. I like the way you thought of that. Like, there's 143 kids in one school, but another school has 5 times as many.
So then
How
in
many
the
are at
other
that
school, there
I
must
like
be that many kids. I love that.
All right, so I've got one more problem for you ladies. So go ahead and erase the board for me, please. You know how to do that quickly? There you go. I knew Mikaella would get it.
Oh.
And just do little parts like that. So while you're erasing the board, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the problem on the camera right now, and then you girls are going to have an opportunity to work on this. And it says use mental math. So, Mikaella, what they'd like you to do is try to do this one just in your head, okay, when they say use mental math. So let's look at the problem together. We can see it up there. If you want to, you can write it down so that it's easier for you to see up there. So in parentheses, 6 times 10. And then close parentheses times 10. So, Mikaella, how would you do that in your head without having to write anything out?
So if I had to do it in my head, well, I can skip count by tens, because they're even and easy numbers to skip count it by. And then I can skip count it by 6, and it'll get me to the answer.
Okay, so what would you get for the first part in parentheses?
So I would solve this by skip counting. And then now I do the 60 times 10.
And you know what that answer would be. So think about, so if you take the zeros off, right? Remember when you were doing the problem before, you did 5 times 4 and added the zeros? So think about this. What's the 6 times 1? What is that?
6,
And how many zeros are up there all together?
2,
So it would be 6 with 2 zeros. What's that?
600.
Does that make sense? Okay. So if you actually multiplied it out, whatever way you wanted to do it, it would be 600. So that's kind of, I went a little bit ahead in your book to see what you're going to be doing, so that when they ask you to do mental math, you'll already have done this one time. All right? Sound good? I'm going to give you another one in a little bit, but not right now. Okay? 636-4357 is the phone number. Don't forget, you can also email us any math problems at dothemath@kern.org. That way, if you don't have an opportunity to phone in on a Tuesday or Wednesday while we're live on air, you can email the problem to us. We can take a look at it. We can email you the answer back, and if we have an opportunity, we can even do the problem on air. That way you can check out one of the archived programs on YouTube, and then you can see the problem live right there. And we'll be back with more right after this.
Hi, I'm Bill, and we're in the machine shop today. We're looking at some of the tools of math. You know, the real reason for tools and measuring is you can make a lot of money if you know how to measure things properly. And you save a lot, too, by getting it right. We'll start with some of the tools here. Everybody here is going to know a measuring tape. And for rough measurements, we'll use a measuring tape. And we know the fractions. We can say 3.5 inches, 3 1/8 inches. These next ones are called scales. They have even finer definitions inside of them. Parts of an inch, sometimes a 50th of an inch, a 10th of an inch. So you can see different gradations in the scale. And when you want to do different types of work, to be more or less precise. Some things don't need to be very precise, like making a wall in a house. 1/8 of an inch will do. When you're building furniture, carpentry, maybe you want to go down to a 1/16 of an inch. When you're working on an automotive engine, you want to go to a 1,000th of an inch. And just to give you a little scale, a piece of paper is 3/1000ths of an inch, and our error is only going to be 1/1000th of an inch, so a third of the thickness of a piece of paper is where our error is here. It's really fascinating and amazing to me. The way we get there is with a caliper. This is a set of calipers. You can move it and you can measure something, and this thing here is 1.0095 inches, 1 9,000 inches. So we'll know that. And when we want to measure something big, we have a big set of calipers. So this will go out to 18 inches in measuring something. And let's talk about inches versus metric. Which system's better? They're both equal to the same. In your house, go with inches because everything in the house is already built to inches. In your car, go with metric because all the nuts and bolts are probably metric. If we're going to be very accurate, we use a tool called a micrometer. And a micrometer has a small screw inside of here that as I turn it, it moves exactly the same amount with each revolution. And then I can read on here how many thousandths of an inch something is. And with a little scale on here called a vernier, we can read to the 10,000th of an inch. 10,000th of an inch is what you need when you're building aircraft engines. So we call it aerospace work. So tools are broken down by homeowner, contractor, mechanic, machinist, and aircraft. They get more and more precise as you go because the need for measuring very precisely is more important with aircraft.
And there we go, one of our new features this year, the tools of mathematics. We were looking at the language of mathematics last year, and we figured we want to do something a little different and see all the different tools and how they're used in mathematics. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. This is the first year, this is our 21st season of Do the Math, and I finally was able to get somebody I've been waiting to get on a long time, the Bakersfield Symphony Orchestra, and they are kind enough to be able to come in and share some of their expertise with us this year. Our first guest from the symphony is Alex. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Excellent. What is your role with the Bakersfield Symphony Orchestra?
So I am a cellist in the Bakersfield Symphony Orchestra. Basically, I'm a part of the string section, and we're one of the lower voices.
And how long have you been with the symphony?
About 12 years, I think.
And how did you get involved in it? Was it something, do you do
always,
something other than play cello?
Well, I actually started on violin, like you, Mikaella, and I've always enjoyed being a part of an orchestra. I was a part of my school orchestras, and it's something I always dreamed of doing, actually, watching the Bakersfield Symphony growing up. I never thought that I would play cello, I think, when I was that age. But it just turned out to being that way, and I really enjoy it and love it to this day.
All right, and your season is about to begin, correct?
Yes, our first concert is starting October 8th, so come out and see us.
All right, so what are you going to be doing with Mikaella today?
Well, I was going to talk to her a little bit about the bow and how we can use the bow in different ways and split it up, because we could use the whole bow, we could use half of the bow, we could use little pieces of the bow. And I think it's a kind of a cool visual as far as fractions go. And we can create all kinds of different sounds, I think, and feelings with how much bow we use. So what I was thinking is I'd play a little something, and then maybe I'd give you a choice as far as how much bow I should use to play it, and see if we can create some different stuff with the same piece. So I was going to play a little snippet or a little piece of Johann Sebastian Bach's Suite Number 1 for cello in G major, and the first movement. So I'll play a little bit, and then we can talk about how I'm using the bow. So there's a little piece of it. So did you see how much bow I was using? Was it a lot or a little?
A lot.
It was a lot, right? I think one of the things, our instrument, basically, I didn't really introduce the instrument too much, but you said you played violin. You kind of know a lot about how it makes sound already with the bow going across the strings and basically creating vibration of the string. And I think the more bow you use, or the faster bow speed, you can get more vibrations and a nice, open, beautiful sound. And so, as you know, if you use a little tiny bit of bow or a very slow bow, you can make some pretty weird sounds, right? Did you ever try that on your violin, where it sounds like Halloween, where it's like kind of creepy sounding? It's not very nice, right? So if you speed up the bow, you can get kind of a nice sound going. And so what we can do is, we call them actually bowings. And in the orchestra, we try to have very similar bowings in the sections, like the violin section or the cello section, so that we all look like we're doing the same thing, because that's kind of part of the orchestra as a visual situation. So what we can do is I could play that same thing using half of the bow, but I have to change the bowing. So instead of playing something like all 8 of those notes, I used using the same bow, this down bow, using that entire thing. What I can do is split that in half and just play 4 of those notes and then go 4 the other direction. And it sounds pretty similar, right? It's not too much different than, but it definitely has a little bit of a push when I change the bow. So it kind of changes the whole feeling of the thing. And then I could use even less bow, and I'd have to change the bowings again. So maybe like I could say I'm using a quarter of the bow, and that would be, how many notes would that be?
A quarter note is like 1 note.
That's right, yeah. So if I played 8 notes with the whole bow, and then I used half of the bow, and there was just 4 notes. So if I used a quarter of the bow, it'd be even less, right? So it would be just maybe 2 notes. And that's something I don't do very often with this piece because it's a little weird, but I'll try it. So let me try it again. Was that too many? Here we go, one more time. You can tell I haven't played it like that very often. So how many would I play if I use even less bow?
So like, if you use less bow, you would like divide it and then like use half of it.
Exactly. So half, I was just doing 2 notes. So half of 2 is?
Half of 2 is 1.
Just 1, right? So now I have to play every note individually, which actually sounds maybe a little bit better than 2 notes. So there's a lot of possibilities with bowings, and generally, when I play this piece, I'm not just sticking to one bowing the whole time. So I'm not using 8 notes to a bow the entire time. It just depends on kind of what you're used to and what you want to hear. And so it's kind of interesting that using this visual of the bow, you can kind of play around with fractions, dividing it into half or into quarters, or even into eighths, which is what I was thinking here, is maybe like 1/8 of the bow is only like this much, right? If you can imagine 8 little pieces of the bow right there. So I thought that was kind of an interesting way that music and math are related, or playing a string instrument like the cello kind of has some fraction possibilities to it.
So I like that with the fraction on the bow. And it's called bowing?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So you were talking about how you could use the whole bow or half a bow, all right? And is that personal preference, or does the symphony say, hey, listen, this is the piece we're doing, I'd like you guys, cello, do half bow, or how does that work?
It definitely depends. If you're playing in the orchestra, then generally in the string section, we are basically relegated to using the bowings that are prescribed. Sometimes we may get to do something different from who's sitting next to us, depending on the piece. Sometimes we'll be playing a different part than what they would be playing next to us. So you may see in the same section some different bowings going on, but generally we're trying to keep the bowings the same throughout the sections, just for a visual look, and also to make those, like I was saying, when you change the bow, it might give it a little bit of a push just from the action of changing the bow direction. And so that would, if everybody changed their bow direction at a different time, it would be kind of putting all these little different sounds into the piece that we don't want to hear.
I got you. And you also mentioned another thing that I didn't even think of right then is the visual. Because if you see everybody going at the same time, the same movement, it makes more sense and sounds more full, I think. You know, and the visual thing is something that I didn't even consider at the time, but that's why you're in the symphony and I'm not, right? So if Mikaella, because she plays violin right now, how difficult or easy would it be for her to adapt what she knows from the violin to the cello?
I would say pretty easy. There's just a couple little differences that you have to get over, like little humps that you have to, one is the size that your hand has to be in the string playing, like the scales and stuff that you have to play here. Generally, when you're playing the violin, what we do is we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go to our next open. Oh no, that's not true. Sorry, that's the cello kind of thing. The violin thing, it's like a 1, 2, 3, and then you can go to the next open string because we have less space because it's so small. So generally, that fourth finger would be your next open string. On the cello, we kind of have just a larger space, so your hand shape has to be like this big, as opposed to this little tiny thing, which is the way I feel the violin is, just like little tiny, tiny motion. And that's one of the things, I think, and one thing that makes the cello a little bit easier, I think, is how we play it sitting like this. It's a little bit nicer not to be holding the instrument up, even though in the violin they probably tell you, right, you're supposed to hold it with your body and your chin, and you're not supposed to technically hold it with your hand so much. But here it's like we have both hands pretty free, and this is a little more difficult, I think. So I had a hard time with the violin and being able to make it sound really nice. And I think the cello kind of has a nicer sound to begin with, depending on your skill, because there's some violinists that sound really amazing, right? So, and I think you could transfer to the cello pretty easily, and maybe find a teacher or even just go on YouTube. You could check it out. It'd be kind of fun. And I think a lot of times your school might need cellos a lot more than violins, because a lot of people tend to play the violin normally because their parents don't want them to have to carry something so big as a cello around, right? Because it's a lot. But yeah.
All right, so before we let you go, Alex, Mikaella, do you have any questions for Alex while you've got him right here, since you both are musicians?
Well, I do have a question for the cello, because like they are similar to the violin, but they're also like a few times bigger than it, and it's like longer.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. And like I was saying, I think one of the main differences that we have is the size of your fingers to change the notes. Not so much the size of your fingers, but just the space in between them. Because on the violin, I think your fingers are generally pretty squished together, and then sometimes you have to kind of put them apart just a little bit. But on the cello, you have this, what I call a cello claw kind of thing. So it's pretty much, you have like you're holding a big ball all the time in order to change those notes, because as you go from one note to the next, those spaces are pretty large, versus on the violin, they're pretty small. So it just takes a little bit of getting used to, and it's definitely worth it, I think. For me, I really enjoy the lower tones as opposed to the higher tones. So I think it's pretty fun.
All right, well, before we let you go, Alex, I just want to comment that I do indeed every night listen to some symphony music. It relaxes me. I love it. When you started playing, I was like, ooh, I'm nice and relaxed right now, because I just love the sound. And especially those deeper, fuller instruments like you have with the cello right there. The season opens again when?
October 8th.
And if somebody wanted to learn a little bit more about the symphony, where would they go?
they would go to the website bsonow.org.
All right. Thank you very much for coming in, and we look forward to seeing some more people from the Bakersfield Symphony Orchestra during this 21st season of Do the Math. We'll be back with more right after this. All right.
Vet Tech here is veterinary technology, where we take our students on either a 1 or a 2-year class program, where they learn the intros to a bunch of the different categories and different subjects within veterinary medicine and veterinary assisting policies and procedures, veterinary skills and lab procedures, getting them ready to go to vet school, or into all the other different jobs within the veterinary medicine world. Basically everything having to do with veterinary medicine, we do here.
My favorite part, probably working with the animals, like actually doing the actual labs or like TPRs and checks. Like that's the main part I like a lot, like the hands-on learning.
Right now, we are working on skills presentation, like how to do stuff with animals, how to restrain them, how to know what's wrong with them, and physicals and everything.
Well, I'm planning on working in a veterinary clinic. So this experience is going to really help me get to a job, because this is one of the only 3 facilities in the world that has a veterinary hospital in it. So it gives me a step up on the competition. It lets me have a more hands-on experience, so I know what to do when I go to actual veterinary clinic.
Can you guys come with look as much towards me, and then you guys have
And once again, a big thanks to all of the staff and students at the ROC and C-Tech Center. Those students produce entirely all of those pieces that you have seen last year and this year, and we can't thank them enough. ROC and C-Tech have been a partner with Do the Math for many, many years. As a matter of fact, so is the Kern County Fair. The Kern County Fair starts up tomorrow, and if you happen to phone us today before 5:30 or tomorrow on Wednesday the 21st when the fair actually opens, you will receive a ticket to go to the Great Kern County Fair. Also, we'll be giving those away next week as well, but the only way you can get a free fair ticket is by calling Do the Math. We do a math problem with you, as simple as that. Something new coming up, brought to you by the Kern County Superintendent of Schools Office, is Autumn Nights, and this is going to be taking place out at COM. And a lot of people are familiar with the holiday lights at COM. And in the last few years, it's something that you've been able to drive through instead of walk through. They wanted to bring back something where you could walk through COM and enjoy the ambiance, the atmosphere of the animals, and enjoy some lights, but this time autumn lights. And that is going to happen during the month of October. And we'll have some more information on that. And Autumn Nights is coming up. And we will have some passes to give away to that as well. But we have so many things to give away, we need to get some kids doing some work. So let's get some kids doing some work right now. Mikaella, a 4th grade student from Reagan. I didn't even know you played violin until you went over there and was doing all that stuff with the cello. So do you like violin? You've been playing it long? How long have you been playing?
I've been playing it for 4 years.
For 4 years, you've been playing violin. So basically, since you've been in school, you've been playing violin. That is awesome. Do you think you're pretty good violinist? You're pretty good at it? Yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll have to have you come in sometime, do a little violin work with us. You up for that?
Yeah, I just don't have a violin.
Okay. You ready to do some more math? Head on over to the board. So we're going to go a little further into your book, and it's still dealing with multiplication. But right now, what we'd like to do is take a look and have you do some estimating. Have you had to do that yet in class?
Like, I have been doing it for a while.
Okay.
And like since we started in 4th grade.
All right, good. So you and Zenaida right now are going to work on these 2 problems. So let's take a look at the first one. You girls can go ahead and write it up on the board. 42 times 4. So it says first estimate, then record the product. So first estimate it, then find the answer to it, and see how close the estimate was.
Okay. So let's go ahead and estimate first. You want to start with this problem over here to the left?
So sometimes in my class, I would do 4 times 2, which was 8. And then I do 4 times 4, which is 16.
So that's actually another strategy that you just use to multiply. Earlier we did the area model, and right now you did what we call the algorithm. You went ahead and just solved it. If you were told to just kind of think of it in your head and make an estimation about what you think the answer would have been, is what we're looking for right here. So you did a great job solving it, but if you were just to look at it and you didn't have a paper and pencil, and I was to tell you, maybe we can try this one over here that way. If I didn't want you to solve it, I want you just to estimate what number do you think this will be multiplying 32 times 2. What do you think would be a good estimation for that?
So I think like almost the same for the other time. I'll do 30 plus 2, as the new name is 32, and times 2.
Okay. And when you look at that right there, what do you think would be your answer? If you were to do it in your head, what answer will be closer to 100? Would it be closer to 50? Would it be closer to 10? What are you thinking here in terms of 30 plus 2 times 2?
Well, I'm thinking that the answer would be close to 50.
Closer to 50? And why do you say that?
Because like, if it's like 32 times 2, you could just like, so it's like 32 times 2 is like the same thing as 32 plus 32, because all you're doing is like, there's 2 of them and now you need to add them.
I love that. So you can think of it just as a double, right? So just thinking of 32 times 2 would be like double of that, and that seems to be closer to around 50. So that's a great estimation strategy. You did a beautiful job there. And do you want to go ahead and solve it and see if our estimation is pretty close? You can try to solve it now, and we'll see if it's close to 50, okay?
Okay.
You want to solve it using the area model, or do you want to solve it using the same strategy you used over here?
I'm going to do that.
Okay.
So I would do like, again, the 2 times 2, and then a 2 times 3.
Okay. And so what did you get?
64.
And is that pretty close to your estimation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really close.
I've been rounding, and if I rounded 64 to the nearest 10, it would go to 60. And 50 is more closer to 60 than 100.
Wow, that's a beautiful explanation. You are a beautiful mathematician, and I've enjoyed doing math with you today. Do you want to do some more math?
Okay.
Well, before you go on, I've got another problem for you set up. But estimate the first one first, because I know you solved it. But explain how you would estimate that one now.
So you got the answer. But if you were just to think of it like same reasoning as you had over there, like what would be an estimation for it? Like 42 times 4.
So I would do the same right there. 40 plus 2 times 4.
Okay. And then by doing that, are you trying to just kind of ignore like the ones place and think of it in the tens, like how many tens it has? Is that what you're doing there when you're breaking it apart? Okay. And what do you think would be a good estimation here?
So like, I don't really know.
So like we look at this, we're like 40 times 4. Would this be closer to, would it be closer to, let me, I'm going to give you some like numbers to think about like we did before. So would it be, so, well think about 40. Is 40 close to, maybe you can think of 40 as 50 if you want to, if that's easier, or you could just keep the 40 and then that number 4 times.
I could.
Okay.
So so when I take a 50,
okay,
when I multiply it by that 4, it can get me to 200.
Okay. Excellent. So your estimation would be 200, like about 200. And you can write that here, and you can see how you can write the 200 right here, like your estimation, and you can see that that's pretty close to that. So do you think this is a good estimation if you're looking at your answer that you got 168? How do you know it's a good estimation?
So like we're just like adding a 10 so it can make it easier, and then multiplying it by the 4 to make it 200. But then after that we would have to subtract.
So it's a little bit less, right? The actual answer here, because we added the 10, right? We thought of it as 50s, right? We thought of it as 50s, and so our estimation was larger than it actually is in the answer, and that's why it does make sense here to get an answer that's less.
So do you think you could get an estimate closer? So when you and Zenaida were working, you know the number is 42. So the 42, do you think it's closer to 40 or 50?
40.
So 40. So what would the estimate be if you did 40 times 4?
40 times 4? Well, like, I think I would also like try at the 10, but at the same time subtract.
So think about doing the mental math, right? We have 40 times 4. So what's 4 times 4?
16.
And then we have a 0, right? So if we have 16 and add a 0, what would that be?
160.
Isn't 160 really close to 168? Right? So that's even a closer estimate that time. Does that make sense to you? Because 42 is closer to 40 than 50, even though 50 is a good estimate. All right, you ready to try one more? All right, go ahead and clear the board. All right, so Mikaella, I'm going to give you an option. You can choose a number between 10 and 19. What number would you like to do?
12.
12? All right, let's take a look at number 12. All right, so here, problem number 12 says 6 times 75. So you guys can go ahead and write it up on the board. 6 times 75.
6 times 75.
So this one you're going to estimate it again. So you're going to estimate and then solve it.
Okay. Okay. So I noticed right here, what did you do right here for me? Just explain to me what you did.
Oh. So like sometimes in 4th grade you might mess up because my teacher would always say that some 4th graders could make mistakes by misplacing the numbers.
Mm-hmm. And we learn from those mistakes, right? And sometimes when we're on camera, we also get a little nervous and shy. But did you just catch a mistake? Is that what you're saying? Oh, okay, you can fix it. And what was the mistake?
Like I put 75, and it's like supposed to be 70 because it's in the tens place.
Okay.
And I'm already adding the 5, which means I would be adding more to 75 and getting the wrong answer.
Okay. Excellent. And then you're going to do your estimation now? Okay. What are you going to do first to estimate this answer, this product?
So I think I'll do 7 times 6,
Okay.
which I'm pretty sure it's 42.
Okay.
And then I add the 0.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, so your estimation is,
420.
so you think
All
it's
right.
about 420.
Go ahead, solve it, and we'll see how close you were.
Okay.
So, but like, I'm missing the 5. So I'll
Oh.
do plus the 5, which equals 425.
Okay, so you solved 70 times 6, which was 420. We still need 5 times. So this 5, you just added the 5, but it's actually, let's go ahead and draw it. Remember how you drew it? You want to draw it for me? Let's just make sure by drawing it, okay? Do you remember how you drew your area model? Can you do that for me? Because
And you're going to have about 45 seconds to do that.
oh yeah, she's quick. And even if, we'll finish it. Let's see, that's your 70. And then your 5. And then this, I think you, yeah. And then your boxes. And you already have your 70 times 6, right? That's what you did over there. Which was, you can write it in here.
So I could do, again, the 7 times 6, 42.
Uh-huh.
And then add the 0.
Uh-huh.
And then, like, I could try to do the 6 times 5,
Uh-huh.
which is 30.
Okay. And then after this, what do we do with our 2 partial products here?
So, like, after that, you can always add them.
Okay, go ahead. And your final answer is?
450.
There you go, nicely done, 450. You estimated it, you solved it, and for your great work today, you've got yourself a meal courtesy of our friends at Grillin' Burger, so congratulations on that. We certainly hope you enjoy when you go over there. Say hi to Lydia and enjoy a meal courtesy of Grillin' Burgers. So, Mikaella, did you learn a little something today? Good, did you have fun today? That's the important part right there. Hey, we do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. And until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.